What if the SEC, two middle of the pack SEC teams, maybe Arkansas, an upper middle class SEC team? What if two SEC teams lose home games to other big time opponents, being Utah and soon to be quote unquote Power Five in Cincinnati?
I mean, that's perfectly reasonable.
Yeah.
Without giving away our picks pod, I think Utah has a really good chance to go there. And
I don't think they have a really good chance. I think they should win, and it'll be a significant disappointment if they don't.
Yeah. Well, it would certainly shake up what that 4 spot looks like. Like I think one of the defining themes of this season is people are seeking that 4th team. Now, I'm not quite sold on Georgia as the 3rd team, as we've talked about a little bit here, but who that kind of outlier team becomes? Does Clemson reemerge? Is there anybody on the West Coast? I'm skeptical of USC still, and still I see a little more empirical evidence. Is someone, from the Big 12 ready to really stake a claim on it? Be it your Kansas State Wildcats, Rece, be it Baylor, be it Desmond's Baylor Bears. Is Oklahoma, is Texas ready? Probably not. But where do we go? And I think a Utah loss to Florida really just kind of jumbles that even further, because quite frankly, they could go run the table in the Pac-12 and still be that team. They would just have to come back. So, but I think Utah could declare themselves as the favorite outside of the blue bloods that we expect to be in the playoff every year, to sort of join that crew and maybe be the next first time playoff participant, which I believe would be the Pac-12's first playoff participant since Chris Peterson's Washington team in 2016.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. Okay. And just the only ones they had Oregon the first year, and then Washington in 2016. I don't have any doubt about Georgia being the 3rd team because of this. Who's going to beat them?
Yeah.
And I understand what they lost. And even if they take a step back, I'm not sure anyone's capable of beating them. It would be a better in the regular season. I mean, it would be a better opportunity if they had to go to Knoxville. Now there's a tricky game in Starkville. Maybe, you can get caught snoozing a little bit. But
Beach always wins ones he shouldn't and loses one. That's just the nature of that offense.
That's what he does. I just don't see anyone else in the SEC. I think Kentucky's a really good team, and Levis is a talented guy rising up draft boards. I don't see how they're going to beat Georgia, but that's way down the line. Georgia, I think, will take care of Oregon on Saturday too. A little early for the Ducks, I think, to come across the country and beat Georgia. And I think Georgia they are approaching a situation, maybe not to the level of Alabama's ability just to roll in the next guy, but they're right on the doorstep of it if they aren't there. And maybe they are there. I just don't think there's going to be this tremendous drop off on their defense, despite having all of those guys drafted last year. I think it'll be very, very, not quite as good, but very similar looking.
I think if they win 45-3 on Saturday, again, they haven't done it for a decade like Saban has, but I think they start to enter that conversation where that becomes the expectation.
Right.
Where 5-star becomes starter, becomes star, becomes draft pick in 3 years, rinse and repeat through that. I don't know what the line is either. We're revealing how often we bet here quickly today, Taylor.
Well, I know, I don't. Yeah. I think it's 13,
it's 17.
Isn't it?
I have it as 17.5 right now on the app that I get my scores off of. So it's a lot of lumber, I don't know. I could ask the existential Stetson Bennett's question here, but I just don't know if we want to go down that rabbit hole today. And maybe we wait for Pollock, who I'm getting the sense from watching the show, our first week 0 game day show on Saturday, is a bit of a Stetson Bennett defender,
Hey, let me tell you something. You can tell the people in the podcast last year, I was not late to the bandwagon on Stetson Bennett. I was driving the bandwagon. Pollock and I co-piloted that. I don't know how many times I said it last year, and Taylor can vouch for this. He was their best quarterback, period. Not because JT got hurt. He was their best guy. He's good. He's not big, but he's a really good player. And he was the best quarterback at Georgia last year. And I don't know why that's so hard for people to accept. I think he'll be really good this year. Now, every mistake with him, because he wasn't the recruit and he left and he went to JUCO and he came back, and even the offensive coordinator didn't want him to play.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.